Welcome back after that delicious break. That is if you got yourself something to munch on or to drink while we went on the commercial break. Well, I did. You know when you have some hot Hausa cocoa? Yes, I'm talking about the real one, with the one with a little flavored a bit, just with slight pepper. Yes, it has a way of reboosting you. So I'm up for action. Yes, it's the political discussion time or segment, and I'm going to hold it, but we're going to talk. He's not going to be here physically in person, so we're going to talk using the phone. And he is no other person than Mr. Carl Jesse Apia. He is the regional communications officer for the NPP. We're going to discuss a lot of things that I have actually read from the newspapers, starting from the Otumfor issue, what he had to say, the advice he had directed towards Parliament. We're going to look at what the NDC also had to say about, people who come into the country unvaccinated. What has to be done? What is the stand of Ghana, and what the NDC had to say against that stand? We'll be looking at that, and maybe we'll try and see if there's time for more. We will bring you more. Yes. Okay. So before that, I wanted to read a little on what the Asante Hene Otumfuo or said to say. And yes, we talked about the intransigence in Parliament and his fears that this is a recipe for civil disorder. The Asante Hene Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II has deplored the uncompromising position taken by both the majority and the minority sides in Parliament on issues bordering on national interest. He said that such intransigent stance did not augur well for the country's democracy and could create room for an insurrection. When the art of governance becomes overly rigid and inflexible, it invites the search for an irresistible force and an unorthodox path for resistance. Or if you like, when you tempt fate, when you tempt fate often, you risk the danger of fate descending with unintended consequences, he cautioned. So the compromise here, speaking last Sunday night at the launch of the commemorative gold coin to mark 2 decades of his enthronement and also to recognize his peace initiatives, Otumfuo Osei-Tutu called on both sides of the house to learn to concede and compromise. Governments must always have the humility to acknowledge and embrace useful inputs from all sources, he said. He said the good people of Ghana took great pride in their commitment to democratic governance and had been proud to be an oasis of peace in an isle of torrent, and our record as a thriving democracy has served us well. I don't know if the regional officer is in yet. Hello, Mr. Carl. Hello, Mr. Carl. Okay, so while we wait for him, I'll continue. He said that the situation where the majority allowed the minority to have its say while the majority had its way could not be allowed to continue, and called on the House to try to meet each other. He said one word that had come to symbolize the lifeblood and soul of democracy is the word compromise. Compromise. Compromise in democracy. Whether you are navigating through the labyrinths of international diplomacy or confronting the intractable issues of domestic politics, from the United States to Germany, from Israel to Japan, through all the land proclaiming their faith in democracy, the name of the game is compromise. 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 He said, do your work. Otumfuo Osei-Tutu encouraged members of parliament to continue to do their best as the electorate was watching their performance and would decide their fate at the end of the day. The people listen, observe, and weigh what their leaders do over time and pass their judgments at the appropriate time. So our parliamentary representatives can be assured that their contributions in the House are not wasted. The people have noted them, and no doubt they will reflect on them when the time comes to determine the next phase of our governing process, he said. Notwithstanding, he cautioned MPs not to arrogate to themselves the powers with which they have not been clothed. According to the Asantehene, our representatives should bear in mind that it is not their role to either determine policy for the executive or frustrate the executive from performing its legitimate role. He asked MPs to turn down the temperature, turn it down, down, and allow the process of governance to proceed so that the people will retain their exclusive rights to pass judgment on how they have been governed at the appropriate time. We elect people to represent us to make sure there is some equilibrium in what governments do. It is good that our representatives in Parliament subject the national budget to the most rigorous scrutiny and to call for changes, he added. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu, continue on page 20. Okay, Baumia eulogized the Asantehene for his role in peace building in the country, particularly his role in resolving the Dagbon chieftaincy crisis. Okay, so hello, Mr. Cow, JC Apia. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am just for some small issues within the body, but we know where it's coming from. But I hope you are doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing well by the grace of God.
Okay, you do sound well.
I always tell people, if the Lord does not have better things for you, He will not let you wake up to see a new day.
Exactly. Yeah. And one of such is meeting you this morning on the line. You are welcome to Adoatv and the AM Ghana. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's always been a pleasure. It's just that I've been a bit absent lately, but it's always a pleasure to speak to you people on Adoatv and to your cherished viewers. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, and it is a mutual one, of course. I don't know if you were with us and you heard me reading what the Otumfuo had to say earlier about the issues concerning our parliament.
Okay, please go on.
All right, there was actually a lot of things he highlighted on, especially the behavior of both the minority and the majority. He did not choose sides there, but he actually gave an advice that, to summarize it, it would be that they have to look at the betterment of the nation and also to allow us, the citizens, to decide. I don't know what your take on that would be, but kindly let us know.
Okay, first of all, I want to say a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Like I always say, it is not because we are the best, but because we have the opportunity to address them, they make time to listen to us. I also want to thank you, the hard-working people of Adoatv, because if you don't put these shows together, we don't have the opportunity to speak to people and also to speak to matters such as these. It's unfortunate that I have listened to a few commentaries from people who have taken the Otumfuo to the cleaners because they said that he has made certain statements purporting to be in support of the current government. But that is unfortunate. The chief made a categorical statement that everywhere in the world, nobody loves to pay taxes. And for that matter, there is no way anybody will welcome any government that proposes taxes. And I think that one is clear. Ghana, we've been borrowing from all countries around the world, in Europe, from China, from India. The question is, how do they raise the money that they are able to give to us as loans, as grants, and as aid? All of these monies are not free monies. These are people's taxes that come to us. And for that matter, any country that wants to develop, obviously, they have to look at a proper approach in raising taxes in order to be able to advance its development agenda. And I think I agree with the chief, with Otumfuo. On the other hand, regarding our members of parliament, I think that obviously somebody needed to call them to order, because we can't have a country where the minority passes a resolution or vote on something, and then the next day the majority comes to 10. You're a member of parliament in MPP, NDC, PPP, or whatever. The advancement and the betterment of Ghana should be your number one priority. For me, when the minority said they had voted rejecting the entire budget, I was sad. And I was sad not because they had rejected the budget, but I felt that if the minority had issues regarding the budget, it was not the entire budget. It was just, I think, about the e-levy thing they said they had issues with.
Actually, there were 5 key things they highlighted. Yeah.
Of course. We had a budget over 300 and something pages. And so if you had issues with only 5 issues, why would you say that on these matters, we feel that it is not good? We're passing the budget, but these things should be looked at again. But for you to go and vote and unanimously reject the budget, I felt it was unpatriotic. And for me, I feel that the Otumfuo has made a very good call, that if you are a member of parliament, you cannot hold the country to ransom. Again, I would also blame my party, the NPP, for making this possible. I am blaming my party because if we had unanimously gone to the polls to elect all the people who were representing our party, I am sure that we would have had 169 or even 170 members of parliament. And for that matter, whatever is happening in parliament would not have happened. I have been in Ghana, I have voted a number of times. I have not seen a hung parliament before. And for that matter, when President Kufuor was the president of the country, he had a majority on his side to make sure that the good policies of his government were pushed through. When Professor Mills became president, he had a majority on his side. It is only unfortunate on the part of our hard-working president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that we have this hung parliament. And I want to say to the NPP that never again should we allow this thing to happen again, so that people who want to push their parochial interests will not, and I repeat, will not hold the nation to ransom. I have heard in certain quarters that the NDC said they were waiting for the Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Mike Abangagui, to come so that they will push another motion to overturn the vote that accepted the current budget. And I think that if we do this, then as a people, we are not advancing the cause of our country, and it's unfortunate.
Yes, rather unfortunate, as you said, because the chaos doesn't serve anybody well. It doesn't serve the nation
we are all Ghanaians,
well.
you know. We are all Ghanaians. And at the end of the day, let's look at what is Ghanaian first. How do we advance the cause of our nation? Do you understand? Their favor, they are unanimous about it. But when it's about the country, then they hold us to ransom. Why should we do this to us as a country? And I think that never again should we come to this side again. And I am really, really looking forward to the next elections where the NPP will have a clear majority so that these things would...
To the minority side trying to present a motion when the Honorable Speaker Abangagui comes. And the date that he gave is today. So whether he's even in as at now, as we speak, okay. All right. So we are being told, I'm being educated on it, that he is actually in. And so today we'll see how proceedings move in Parliament. But before that, when we talk about the unfortunate issues, looking at it in a chronological order, we can't say, I don't know if you would also take it as unfortunate when we cite or we list the 5 key things that the NDC disagree on when it comes to the budget as a whole, the 2022 budget as a whole, and giving the opportunity or the time and the space that they had or the majority had to clear or to sit and deliberate on these issues. Would you also call it unfortunate that the minister and whoever was supposed to have stood in for him if he was unavailable did not actually make themselves available during that time in Parliament? Wouldn't that be where things actually where we should have been looking at as the source of this chaos?
Anna, thank you very much for the opportunity once again. You see, for me, from day one, the partisan nature. I mean, when people go to parliament, they don't represent the interest of the country, but they represent the interest of their issues properly, critically, to say so that we can come to a proper consensus. People don't do that. Unfortunately, when the members of parliament were about to pass or deliberate on the budget and to take a vote, the honorable finance minister was in parliament and had gone to raise certain issues and prayed the speaker of parliament that if he should be permitted to raise, look at certain issues and then also do extensive consultation. Of course, this would not have been the first time where a budget would have been considered or would have been passed, and then a certain portions of it would have been amended. You understand?
I get that.
Yes, the finance minister was in parliament. But
yes, Mr. Jichi, let's hold on right there. Just because we are using a timeline, I don't want us to fast track or we will miss that part. From the time that he went and he presented the 2022 budget, we do know clearly that there were subsequent sittings on the parliament, in parliament on the budget, and we are told that on all those occasions he did not. So he would have noted these 5 items that they actually raised up, and then there would have been enough time to solve these 5 issues before the Friday where he had actually sought for, bringing out what his issues were and asking for time to go and make. So that is what I want us to highlight on, because that seems...
First of all, I want to put on record that it is never true that at every point in time you have to call the Minister of Finance to appear before the committee to discuss or look at issues that have been raised by the minority. Obviously, this is the right thing. When the budget, I know that you are aware that there was a conference on the budget. I think somewhere in the Akosombo or somewhere, where even the right honorable Speaker of Parliament made certain pronouncements on it, that the provisions that have been made for Parliament was inadequate, and that because the members of Parliament, their interest should be served, and therefore they were looking forward to their budget being raised to a certain amount. I don't know if you are aware about that. So it is not a matter that when the Minister of Finance presents the budget, he goes to sleep. It goes through series of deliberations. There are forums that are held on the budget before it comes to the floor of Parliament for voting. So we did not go to sleep. And of course, if you would allow me, the Honorable Haruna Idrusu, the minority leader, said that he was not privy to certain information, even regarding the e-levy, and that if he was privy to it, he wouldn't have taken the no stance that he had. And for that matter, having listened to the finance minister, having listened to the reasons and the benefits that we inure to the country, he has rather come to a conclusion that we should rather reduce the threshold and not to abolish the entire e-levy. So there have been consistent deliberations. But of course, for mischief reasons, people will say that the finance minister was never...
From where I'm sitting, I don't think it's all too good.
Okay, Anas, let me take you back again.
Julia, sorry.
Sorry.
All right.
Forgive me. Let me take you back again.
Okay.
I am saying that I'm not mincing words.
Okay.
The minority are only being mischievous. And
which is a perspective.
And that is with the perspective I'm coming. They are only being mischievous. If the minority from day one had decided that they wanted to cooperate and make sure that they serve the interests of Ghana, they would have listened, they would have read, they would have sought counsel. He had met the finance minister. After he had listened to the wisdom behind the e-levy, he says that he has now moved from his former stand of a no to a reduction in the levy.
The same way,
obviously, they did not apprise themselves
Mr. Jesse Apia, the same way that even the finance with strategies to address these 5 issues that so yes, we say that it's only a fool who doesn't change his mind, but I don't know where you see the mischief, because the minority caucus in parliament from the very after the presentation of the budget. So I don't know whether to say that during the course of all these, what could have been done, that is before the Friday. So from the 18th or 17th, I'm not very clear about the dates now, but from the day that the budget was read in Parliament to the Friday where it was voted on, that occurred in Parliament on that Friday.
I don't know whether we're speaking the same language. A lot has been done from the time the budget was presented till the point where the budget was being voted on. A lot of engagement had gone on members of parliament to understand and even appreciate the budget. So I don't know what you say, whether what you are asking, whether the finance minister has not done anything. I feel that the finance minister, the economic management team, and all the people who matter had made sure that the people who are supposed to vote on them. But even if, assuming without admitting that they raised only 5 issues from the budget that was presented, are they saying that all these 5 issues are strong enough to hold for the entire budget to be rejected? That is why I come to the point that the minority are just being mischievous.
So would you hold, because that would then be a single one?
I think that with the e-levy again, some people decided to ensure that a majority of Ghanaians will not understand what the e-levy is about.
Okay.
When we talk about e-levy is not only about levy. We have the inward remittances levy, we have the bank transaction levy, and then we have the Momo levy. Do you understand?
Yes.
Why is it that the minority again are only raising sentiments on the Momo levy as if it is the only levy within the e-levy bracket? Do you understand?
I get you, sir. Perfect.
And that is the point where I come to, that when the minority leader, having listened to good counsel, has admitted that indeed his former stance of a no, which was the party's position, he has now moved from it and suggesting that rather we should adjust the levy to about 1% instead of the 1 point. If people had decided that they wanted to do the bidding of our country, then obviously this discussion would have gone on and certainly we wouldn't have come to where we are now. And even for the minority even to be saying that they are going to table a motion when Right Honorable Abang sits as Speaker to overturn the vote of the majority, I think that Adoatv may have to speak to them again.
What are your expectations for this afternoon in Parliament?
We are all Ghanaians. So my expectations is that as members of the minority and the majority, they should look at what is in the interest of them. Whether we have 24 years, 32 years, or whatever. One day the government will change, the tables will turn, and another government will have to come. But the good people of Ghana will forever remain Ghanaians. So whatever we are doing, we should look at the interest of Ghanaians first. That is all that I'm expecting. Really logical about what we want to do in Parliament, and whatever happens, the Ghanaian must win.
Okay. I want to go straight now into issues that have to do with unvaccinated persons who travel into the country. And actually what was said concerning this particular, the law that we have made or the policy we have made concerning this. I want to read a little. It says that Ghana to charge airlines $3,500 per unvaccinated passenger. And the charges are going to, okay, so Ghana will charge airlines $3,500 for every passenger flown into the country who isn't fully vaccinated against the COVID. Avoid a fresh wave of infections. You do side with this, and can you tell us how what the NDC had to say, rejecting or refuting this, what it poses, does it pose a threat, a danger to us or what your take is on it? Let me leave it at that. What would be your take on it?
First of all, I want to say that when in the peak of the COVID, when the president said that he knows how to revive the economy, but does not know how to bring back lives, the president was emphatic about the fact that Ghanaian lives and lives in general matter to him. We have seen, I know that as we speak, the UK is almost shutting down. People have had to cancel their trip to the UK because of the surge in the Omicron virus, the variant of the COVID virus. So protect our people, or do we want every Tom, Dick, and Harry to come into our country? The answer is no. We know that Ghana is one of the countries with the best record in terms of COVID management in the sub-region. And I think that is something that is not coming into our country, obviously not vaccinated. And so we need to put in punitive measures to ensure that people who would want to come into our country are aware of the cost or the implications. And for that matter, to levy 3,000 vaccinated, I think is a very good call. And I feel that any good citizen or any person who loves our country should be in support of this laudable idea. We are not necessarily saying that we need people to come into the country for us to raise that money, but we are doing this as a deterrent to anybody who wants to come into the country, knowing very well that such amount of money would be levied against you if you try. We also are saying that any airline that brings people into the country, knowing very well that they have not been fully vaccinated, would also have a charge against them. And of course, you know that based on the COVID situation, even that they are going to incur a levy for bringing people who have not been vaccinated would also be a very big deterrent to them. And I think that this is a very good call and everybody must support. And still try to contest for another position, thereby leaving bottlenecks in the administration of His Excellency the President. Portfolio he or she is holding now must resign and go and concentrate on it.
Are there any conflicts in the NPP, especially regarding flag bearership?
Certainly, there are no conflicts at all. You was living